This is a simple example of how money is invented, created, and protected using financial intelligence. Ask yourself, how long would it take to save $190,000? Would the bank pay you 10% interest on your money? And the promissory note is good for 30 years. They definitely would not be paying you 10% interest at the moment. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great start today. We've got lots of bird outside here, and it's a sunny day. Hopefully, it's a sunny day for you. But we're going to get into our reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We are in chapter 5, and we have just been talking about a way in which Robert Kiyosaki bought a property, which was a very interesting one. So if you missed that, I'll share the YouTube link where you can find the recordings and you can watch the last episode, which was extremely good if you missed out on that one. But we'll continue with our reading. I know that you all have goals for yourself for this week. It's the start of a new week, which means that we are able to get back into it and start achieving some things. Mladen says good morning from Zoom. So for those of you who are on BIGO, we also do this live on Zoom. And let's get into it. Nice to meet Molly as well on BIGO. And Jonathan, I will get back to you and follow you in just a moment, but I'm going to start reading and then I'll let you know how you can get in touch as well. Okay, here we go. During this depressed market, Kim and I were able to do 6 of these simple transactions in our spare time. While the bulk of our money was in larger properties and the stock market, we were able to create more than $190,000 in assets, notes at 10% interest in those 6 buy, create, and sell transactions. That comes to approximately $19,000 a year in income, much of it sheltered through our private corporation. Much of that $19,000 a year goes to pay for our company cars, gas, travel, insurance, dinners with clients, and other things. By the time the government gets a chance to tax that income, it's been spent on legally allowed pre-tax expenses. This is a simple example of how money is invented, created, and protected using financial intelligence. Ask yourself, how long would it take to save $190,000? Would the bank pay you 10% interest on your money? And the promissory note is good for 30 years. They definitely would not be paying you 10% interest at the moment. I hope they never pay me the $190,000. I have to pay a tax if they pay me the principal. And besides, $19,000 paid over 30 years is a little over $500,000 in income. I have people ask, what happens if the person doesn't pay? That doesn't happen, and it's good news. That $60,000 home could be taken back and resold for $70,000, and another $2,500 collected as a loan processing fee. It would still be a zero down transaction in the mind of the new buyer, and the process would go on. The first time I sold the house, I paid back the $2,000, so technically I have no money in the transaction. My return on investment is infinite. It's an example of no money making a lot of money. In the second transaction, when resold, I would have put $2,000 in my pocket and re-extended the loan to 30 years. What would my ROI be if I got paid to make money? I do not know, but it sure beats saving $100 a month, which actually starts out as $150 because it's after-tax income for 40 years, earning low interest. And again, you're taxed on the interest. That is not too intelligent. It may be safe, but it's not smart. So you might need to listen to the last chapter to be able to understand the intricacies of that. But Robert Kiyosaki is talking about property that he's found, and he's borrowed the money from his friend in order to be able to get the deal. He's able to get it at a very depressed price, which means that he is then able to sell it immediately for a higher price. And if people are not able to pay, he can just take the property back and resell it to somebody else who is also paying him for purchasing that property. So now he's just discussing the numbers of the deal and how it's so beneficial for him. So I think the lesson from this part is that you need to know people who are doing very interesting deals so that you can also do interesting deals. You can either come up with them by yourself, which takes time and effort, Or you can also get to know people who are already doing some really amazing deals. So it's important to make sure that you're only focusing on one thing at a time. You don't want to do 10 things at once, because you only have 1/10 of the energy that you're putting into each. You only have 1/10 of the finances that you're putting into each. You only have 1/10 of everything that you're putting into each. And that distracts you. So you really need to focus on doing one thing, getting it right, doing it really well, and then moving on to the next thing. Doing one thing, getting really good at it, and then moving on to the next thing. A few years later, as the Phoenix, side note on that very quickly before I continue about Phoenix, is that you can do that if you are already in the position where you can hire staff and delegate and outsource certain things. When you're able to do that, yes, then you can do a few more things than just one, but you need to make sure that they are giving it the full focus and that the other person is doing a really good job to make sure that it's still not split focus. A few years later, as the Phoenix real estate market strengthened, those houses we sold for $60,000 became worth $110,000. Foreclosure opportunities were still available but became rare. It cost a valuable asset, my time, to go out looking for them. Thousands of buyers were looking for the few available deals. The market had changed. It was time to move on and look for other opportunities to put in the asset column. You can't do that here. That is against the law. You're lying. I hear those comments much more often than, can you show me how to do that? So, for example, I have recently purchased a property in Queensland. And the reason, even though I live in New South Wales, which is a different state of Australia, is because I like the market in Queensland a lot better. Now, it's important to realize that you don't have to invest where you are. You need to look for opportunities that fit the criteria that you're looking for. So if you want to buy houses under market value that are repossessed, or that somebody has just died and the bank gets the property back and wants to sell it because there was nobody to inherit the property, then you need to find a market where that is going to work. If the market is too high and the bank can sell it for a lot, then obviously you're not going to be able to buy something which is going to make you a significant profit. So learn to understand where you need to be looking, and don't just invest where you are, but look at what your strategy is and find the right place to implement that strategy. Some people go to a seminar, learn a particular strategy, and then use that strategy in their location, even though that strategy might work somewhere else, but isn't necessarily going to work in their area. So it's important to make sure that you keep that in mind. The math is simple. You do not need algebra or calculus, and the escrow company handles the legal transaction and the servicing of the payments. I have no roofs to fix or toilets to unplug because the owners do that. It's their house. Occasionally, someone does not pay, and that is wonderful because there are late fees, or they move out and the property is sold again. The court systems handle that. And it may not work in your area. The market conditions may be different, but the example illustrates how a simple financial process can create hundreds of thousands of dollars with little money and low risk. And there are thousands of these kinds of strategies that you can implement. You just need to get to know people who have these kinds of strategies that they're willing to share with you. So the interesting thing is that everything is about people. You need to be able to learn to communicate well with people and to be able to talk to people on a different level to you, perhaps, in order to be able to learn the things that you don't know at your level at this point in time. So if you can master the skill of charisma and how to deal with other people and how to communicate well with other people, then you can start to learn some of these things. In an example of money being only an agreement, anyone with a high school education can do it, yet most people won't. Most people listen to the standard advice of work hard and save money. For about 30 hours of work, approximately 190,000 was created in the asset column, and no taxes were paid. If you use option number one, be sure to factor in how much time it takes you to save $190,000. Time is one of your greatest assets. Now you may understand why I silently shake my head when I hear parents say, "My child is doing well in school and receiving a good education." It may be good, but is it adequate? And there are also certain things like this that you don't learn at school. So the teacher doesn't teach you how to find depressed deals. The school system doesn't teach you how to understand the stock market and how to analyze companies and how to know whether those companies are likely to increase in value or likely to decrease in value. So these are, well, and also it doesn't teach you how to start a business. I know the above investment strategy is a small one. It is used to illustrate how small can grow into big. Again, my success reflects the importance of a strong financial foundation, which starts with a strong financial education. I have said it before, but it's worth repeating. Financial intelligence is made up of these four main technical skills. 1. Accounting. Accounting is financial literacy, or the ability to read numbers. This is a vital skill if you want to build businesses or investments. 2. Investing. Investing is the science of making money. 3. Understanding markets. Understanding markets is the science of supply and demand. Alexander Graham Bell gave the market what it wanted. So did Bill Gates. A $75,000 house offered for $60,000 that cost $20,000 was also the result of seizing an opportunity created by the market. Somebody was buying and someone was selling. And number 4, the law. The law is the awareness of accounting, corporate, state, and federal regulations. I recommend playing by the rules. And that's also a very important point. You have to play by the rules. So you can create new systems that are illegal, or you can create systems inside the rules, and you can still make money doing that. So I used to know a man who knew Alan Bond, who was a very famous Australian multimillionaire, maybe even billionaire at one point. And he told me that he met up with Alan Bond. And apparently they came up with a strategy. They were going to do a deal together. And Alan Bond wanted to find a way to do it the illegal way, just slightly over the line. So you have the line of legality, and you can do something which is just at the edge of legality, and it's still legal. It's very close. Some people will say that it's not so good, but it's still legal. But Alan Bond liked to play on the other side of the line, and he used to want to find a way to do something which was illegal and get away with it. And that's just what he lived for. That's what he really enjoyed. And to him, it was a sport. It was a bit of a competition. It was a game to see if he could get away with things. So I would definitely not recommend that. That is just something that Alan Bond seemed to enjoy for some reason. And it obviously ended up getting him in jail, because Alan Bond went to jail for many, many years. However, the interesting thing is when he came out of jail, he still had connections. He still knew the different strategies that he learned, and he was still able to achieve great financial success using some of the strategies similar to this and last chapter. So it's interesting how you can learn those skills, and they are your skills for life, whether you go to jail or something else happens, but you have those skills for life. So I would highly recommend you looking for ways to find people that can teach you strategies like this, so that rather than working hard and only saving, you can also start to invest in smarter ways. So we're going to leave it at that one. Most important part of that one is making sure that you do things legally and that you get in touch with people and look for different strategies that you can learn that are smarter rather than harder. So as I said, this chapter and last chapter, very interesting, not necessarily relevant to you right now immediately, unless you happen to be in the right place or unless it's something that you know how to do. But it's interesting to think about these last two chapters, or the last two videos that I made on this chapter, to have a think about what can I do to do things a little bit differently? What can I do to think a little bit more like a really successful person? What can I do to start acting like and getting the results of somebody who seems to get things effortlessly and who is making more than I am in that sense? So if you'd like to know more, if you'd like to see the beginning part of this video that talks about the strategy that now we've gone into the details of, but you don't know what the actual strategy is, then you can do that at the YouTube channel that we've created, which is called the Passive Cash Flow Club. And we'd love to see you at the Passive Cash Flow Club. Make sure you hit subscribe, because we have some other videos coming out soon. not just the reading series. So that is really exciting. If you would like to know more about what we've also been reading in Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Cash Flow Club here in, well, it used to be the Sydney Cash Flow Club, but now we've got an online version, so we can go international. So wherever you are watching from, if you'd like to know more about cash flow and play cash flow, and especially the online version, which is taking it that little bit further and giving you more details and more information with regards to realism, so that you can transition more easily from wherever you are to either starting to invest and actually taking that first step, or if you are already investing, to being able to invest a little bit better than you might be investing right now. So if you'd like to do that, get in touch on Instagram. You can, one, follow me on Instagram and see what I'm up to, and two, you can direct message me, and I'd love to hear from you, and I can get my virtual assistant to send you the details about cash flow. And you can find us there at business_team_6_official. So business_team_6_official. And I would love to hear from you. I want to say thank you so much for joining today. It's always a pleasure having you. Mladen Online, who helped create the online cash flow game, which is really amazing. So I really appreciate Mladen for that. And for you, if you are joining on BIGO, or if you're watching the recording, really appreciate you joining. Have an amazing day today. Go out and achieve those wonderful goals that you've set. If you take the time to really focus on what your goals are and take steps every single day that are tasks that are going to get you closer to those goals, then you are most definitely going to achieve those goals at some point. And if you are struggling, reach out. I'm happy to have a chat about that and see if I can help you get on track. So have an amazing day today. Achieve some really good things towards your goals. And I'll see you again tomorrow, Sydney time, 8 a.m.